Beneath the pale light of a crescent moon, where the wind whispers tales from forgotten times, there exist places where shadows don't merely stretch, they move. Deep within the heart of haunted forest, the very trees seem alive, their twisted branches reaching out like skeletal fingers. In these realms, the air is thick with the scent of decay and the soft rustle of unseen footsteps, where the lines between the living and the dead blur, and the darkness is not something you merely walk through, it's something that walks with you. Welcome to the world of haunted forests and walking shadows, a place where the eerie stillness masks a lurking presence, and every rustling leaf could be the signal of something far more sinister than a breeze. There are forests scattered across the world, their names whispered in hushed tones by those who have ventured too close. These are not the forests of fables where nature is a peaceful haven for birds, wildlife, and travelers seeking solace. No, these forests are darker, haunted by more than just the shadows of trees. They are spaces where something unnatural lurks, something older than the roots that twist deep into the earth beneath them. In the quiet of these forgotten woods, the wind doesn't just sway the leaves, it carries the softest of whispers. The type of whispers that feel too personal, too directed, the kind that causes the hairs on the back of your neck to stand at attention. Those who have braved the forest edge speak of an unsettling silence that hangs over the land, an atmosphere so thick that even the birds seem to hold their breath. The dense canopy of trees overhead blocks out the sun, creating an eternal twilight where time feels as if it has forgotten itself. The forest, it seems, does not want the world to see it. It thrives on its solitude, wrapped in an impenetrable shroud of mystery. When the full moon rises, casting pale light across the gnarled trunks and thick underbrush, the forest comes alive in a way that makes it almost sentient. Beneath the canopy, the air grows heavy. It feels as if the earth itself is holding its breath, waiting, listening. The usual sounds of the forest, the rustle of leaves, the chirp of insects, the distant calls of owls, are replaced by a deafening stillness. It is a quiet that presses from all sides, making even the bravest souls question the very fabric of their reality. The trees in these haunted woods stand like ancient sentinels. Their bark, blackened and twisted, seems to contort into grotesque faces if you stare long enough. The roots snake out of the ground, not like natural tendrils, but as if trying to crawl and grasp, to pull any unsuspecting traveler deeper into the earth. Some say the trees are alive, not in the traditional sense, but as vessels of an ancient power, feeding off the despair and fear that clings to the forest. The trees know when you approach. They seem to watch unblinking from the shadows, their dark, hollow eyes seeing through you, studying you, weighing you against the hundreds of lost souls that have wandered too far and never returned. As night falls, a peculiar thing happens. Shadows begin to stretch unnaturally. It's not just a typical play of light and dark. These shadows move. They glide, twisting and contorting, as though they have a life of their own. They seem to follow you, keeping pace with every step, always just on the edge of your vision. It's in these moments that the distinction between shadow and substance becomes blurred. What's real? What's not? The forest teases with its illusions, offering glimpses of movement where there should be none, creating figures that vanish the moment you focus on them. Some believe the shadows are manifestations of lost souls, those who ventured too deep into the woods and became part of its eternal darkness. It's not just the trees, but something else, a presence that's there, just out of sight. You might feel the sudden brush of cold air against your skin, the sensation of something brushing past your arm, but when you look, there's nothing there. And yet, that feeling persists. It's as if the very forest is alive and is keeping secrets it will never reveal. Those who have stayed longer than they should speak of, the strange feeling that the forest shifts around them, as though the very land is moving in response to their footsteps. The forest holds stories. Ancient tales of spirits, creatures, and forgotten gods are woven into its very fabric. Some believe that the trees themselves are the memories of those who perished here, their whispers carried by the wind, retelling the tragic tales of those who walked in the woods and were never seen again. Locals speak of a figure that occasionally appears near the edges of the forest. It's not quite a person, but something else. A shadowy form, draped in darkness, that follows travelers, lurking at the edges of their vision. No one knows who or what it is. Some say it's a manifestation of the forest's darkest energy, an ancient spirit that feeds off the fear of those who wander too far. There are those who claim that deep within the forest, there lies a forgotten temple. Lost to time and memory, its crumbling walls are said to hold untold power. Power that draws the shadows closer, pulls them in like moths to a flame. Some brave souls have ventured deep into the forest in search of the temple, but none have ever returned. The forest itself seems to change around them, reshaping its paths, making it impossible to retrace their steps. It's as though the forest is an entity, and it doesn't want anyone to discover the secrets hidden within its depths. The few who have managed to escape the haunted woods carry with them a sense of unease that never quite fades. They speak of the forest's eyes that seem to follow you no matter where you go. Some even claim that they hear footsteps behind them, faint and deliberate, as if someone is walking in their shadow, watching them as they make their way back to the safety of the outside world. But the forest doesn't let go that easily. It's said that no matter how far you travel from its edges, the haunting presence of the woods lingers. The shadows that follow you in the forest don't vanish with the dawn. They linger, creeping into your dreams, filling your nights with the softest of footsteps, the faintest of whispers, the feeling that, just out of sight, something is always there, something that never truly leaves. As the night deepens, the forest begins to change. The air becomes thicker, saturated with an energy that feels almost electric. Each footstep echoes louder than it should, the soft crunch of leaves underfoot amplified, as if the forest itself is listening, marking every movement. In this unnatural silence, the faintest sounds become impossible to ignore. Every crackling branch, every rustling leaf seems like a warning, a signal that something is shifting just beyond the periphery of your senses. You might think that you're alone, but the truth is far more unsettling. It's not a question of whether something is there. It's a question of what exactly is watching. The feeling of being followed grows stronger as the hours stretch on. You glance over your shoulder, half expecting to see a figure lurking in the shadows, but there is only the endless expanse of trees, dark, twisted, and seemingly endless. And yet, the sensation persists. Your every movement, every breath feels monitored by a presence that is always just out of view. There are stories, tales passed down through generations, that speak of a time when these forests were not always so dark, so twisted. Long ago, they were a place of life, of vibrant growth, where travelers sought refuge beneath the thick canopy, and the forest provided shelter, food, and peace. But something changed. They began to stir, awakening from their slumber, their restless energy feeding the very roots of the trees. As the land itself became more entwined with these restless spirits, the once welcoming forest turned into something else entirely, a realm of shadows and whispering voices, of creatures that stalked the dark paths, and of an unseen presence that lurked, waiting for those brave enough to venture too far. Some believe that the haunted forests are not simply home to spirits, but to something far older, an ancient force that predates the forest itself. The very soil seems to hum with this energy, a vibration so subtle that only the most attuned can feel it. But once you do, there's no mistaking it. It's as though the earth itself is alive, its pulse beating in time with your own. The longer you remain, the more this energy seeps into you, clouding your thoughts, distorting your sense of time. The shadows become more pronounced, more solid, as though they are not merely the absence of light, but something alive, creeping towards you with every step. Perhaps it is this ancient power that calls to the walking shadows, those figures that flicker at the edge of your sight, just beyond the corners of your vision. You see them in the periphery, moving in ways that no human could. They glide rather than walk, their forms shifting with every passing second. They are not creatures in the traditional sense, nor are they merely spirits. There's something more, a reflection of the forest itself, of its ancient, forgotten energy. Some who have encountered these figures speak of feeling a strange pull, as if the shadows are beckoning them, calling them to follow. They say the shadows know things that no living being should ever know. They speak in whispers, their words unintelligible, but their tone is unmistakable. They are inviting you to come closer, to join them in their eternal dance of darkness. But those who are drawn too close never return. The stories are countless, those who ventured into the forest with only the best of intentions, who sought to uncover the truth or perhaps simply to wander, never made it out. The forest, with its twisting paths and shifting shadows, seems to swallow them whole, erasing all trace of their existence. And yet some claim they have seen them after they've disappeared, faint silhouettes drifting in and out of the shadows, their eyes vacant, their movements slow and deliberate, as if they are no longer entirely of this world. It's said that the longer you remain in the forest, the more the walking shadows begin to take shape. They become less like fleeting glimpses and more like tangible figures, their forms growing clearer the deeper you go. Some have described seeing a figure emerge from the darkness, tall and gaunt, with eyes that gleam like polished obsidian. This figure is often the first to appear to those who stray too far. A silent watcher who never speaks, only observes. Its presence is suffocating, and its gaze, though silent, is heavy with the weight of ancient knowledge. Others have spoken of seeing smaller, more mischievous figures darting in and out of the underbrush. These shadows are quick, like flickers of light or trickles of smoke, vanishing before you can fully comprehend their form. But even these smaller shadows carry an unsettling energy, an unexplainable sense of menace that lingers long after the figure has gone. There are those who have tried to communicate with them, speaking softly into the empty air, but the shadows offer no answers. They only watch, waiting. For the brave, or perhaps foolish souls who choose to linger in the forest overnight, the true horrors begin to reveal themselves. It's in the quiet moments of darkness, when the moonlight filters weakly through the canopy, that the forest reveals its most terrifying secrets. The trees begin to move, subtly at first, as though shifting in response to something unseen. Branches sway without wind, and the ground trembles with a faint, rhythmic thumping like the heartbeat of some great beast buried deep below the roots. The whispers become more insistent, more pronounced. You can hear them clearly now, low, guttural voices that seem to come from all around you, not just from the trees, but from the very earth beneath your feet. It is said that these voices are the cries of the lost, those who walked too far into the forest and never returned. They beg for help, for release from the clutches of the shadows that now hold them captive. Some claim that if you listen long enough, you can hear their names spoken softly, almost tenderly, as though the forest itself is trying to lure you deeper. But the forest doesn't let go so easily. It beckons you, yes, but it's never with the intention of letting you leave. Once you've heard the whispers, once you've seen the walking shadows, you become part of the forest. There is no escaping its pull. The longer you stay within the haunted forest, the harder it becomes to distinguish between reality and the darkness that surrounds you. What began as a mere feeling, a prickling on the back of your neck, an odd noise that can't quite be explained, slowly morphs into something far more tangible. The boundary between the physical world and the ethereal is no longer clear. The trees, once silent and stationary, seem to hum with energy, as though they are not merely witnesses to the happenings within the forest, but active participants. It's as if they are sending out a silent signal, calling to the spirits that roam freely under the cover of night. And then, when the full moon rises, the forest transforms entirely. The light from the moon casts eerie shadows that stretch like fingers across the forest floor, and the sounds of the forest grow louder, more aggressive. The gentle whispers you've been hearing all along shift into something far darker. Low growls, guttural whispers that seem to pulse with a life of their own. Every corner you turn feels like an invitation to something deeper, darker, a pull that tugs at the very fabric of your soul. At times, you might feel as if the forest itself is a labyrinth, a living entity that changes in response to your every move. Paths that were visible moments ago have vanished, swallowed by the shifting shadows. Trees appear where there were none before, their trunks twisting into grotesque shapes. The deeper you venture into the heart of this place, the more distorted the environment becomes. A grove that seemed peaceful turns into a tangle of monstrous branches and sharp, curling roots. What was once a familiar landmark is gone, replaced by a maze of endless trees that loom over you like an impenetrable wall. There are rumors that the forest changes to reflect the fears of those who walk its paths. If you are a person who harbors dark thoughts, regrets, or sorrow, the forest seems to latch onto these emotions, twisting them into something far worse. It's as though the very air is saturated with your anxieties, turning them into tangible, nightmarish realities. Shadows take the shape of your deepest fears, stalking you from just beyond the trees. The forest becomes a mirror, reflecting back the darkest corners of your mind. There are stories told by those who escaped its grasp that claim the forest holds a secret, a gate. This gate, they say, is not a physical doorway, but a threshold between worlds, a place where the boundary between the living and the dead is at its thinnest. It is here that the walking shadows are born, not as mere specters or ghosts, but as something more sinister, something that exists outside of time and space. They are creatures of the forest, drawn to this place of eternal twilight where the living are invited to enter but never allowed to leave. The gate is said to appear only when the forest deems it so, when the moon is at its fullest and the forest reaches its darkest hour. It is said to manifest as a swirling vortex of shadow, a column of darkness that appears to pulse with an unnatural energy. Those who have encountered it speak of a strange hum that emanates from the depths of the forest, a sound that grows louder the closer you get. As you approach, the trees seem to part, revealing a clearing that is bathed in an eerie, almost hypnotic light. It is here that the gate reveals itself, a swirling mass of shadow that seems to breathe, drawing you in with an irresistible pull. For those unfortunate enough to stand before it, the gate is both mesmerizing and terrifying. There is a sense of something ancient, something vast and unknowable, lurking just beyond the veil. The air grows colder and the very ground beneath your feet begins to tremble, as if the forest itself is waking from a long, forgotten slumber. As you draw closer, the shadows around you begin to move in ways that defy logic. Figures emerge from the darkness, walking silently through the trees, their movements fluid and unnatural. These are the walking shadows, creatures who have crossed the threshold of the gate and returned as something else, something beyond the living. Some believe that the gate is a portal to the afterlife, a doorway to realms beyond our understanding. Others think it is the forest's way of claiming the souls of the lost, pulling them into its depths where they are trapped, unable to escape. Whatever its true nature, those who have been drawn to it speak of a terrible force, an overwhelming presence that fills the air with dread. The shadows that emerge from the gate are not merely ghosts, they are the embodiment of something far older, far more powerful, a force that has existed long before the first trees were planted in the ground. And yet, despite the terror it invokes, the gate holds an undeniable allure. It beckons to those who dare to approach, to those who seek the unknown, who wish to pass through the veil and discover what lies beyond. There are whispers that the gate offers power, immense, forbidden power. Those who manage to pass through it are said to gain a kind of immortality, a life beyond death itself. But this immortality comes at a cost. The price is the soul. Once you cross the threshold, you become something else, a shadow, a wraith, a creature caught between worlds. You are neither living nor dead, bound to the forest forever, walking in the footsteps of the shadows. There are those who claim to have seen the aftermath of such crossings, shadows that walk the forest, not as ghosts, but as sentient beings, forever tied to the forest's dark heart. They are not human, but they wear the faces of those who once were. Their eyes are hollow, their movements jerky, as if they are struggling to break free from the chains that bind them to the darkness. These walking shadows, they say, are the true guardians of the forest, the keepers of the gate. They are the ones who wait watching, ever watchful, for the next soul to cross over, to join their eternal ranks. But while the gate remains a secret to most, there are those who are drawn to it, who hear the call of the shadows and seek to uncover its mysteries. It is said that the forest will reveal its secrets only to those it deems worthy, and only when the time is right. And though many have tried, none have managed to return with any certainty of what lies beyond the gate. The walking shadows remain, ever watchful, waiting for the next soul to step into their domain. As the journey through the haunted forest deepens, the veil between the physical and the spiritual world grows increasingly thin. What once seemed like mere shadows, flickering at the edges of your vision, now emerge into full view, tangible, moving, and watching. The air, thick with coldness that seeps into your bones, wraps itself around you, squeezing out all sense of warmth or safety. The trees, with their twisted forms, seem to reach for you, their branches clawing at the sky, creating a canopy so dense that not even moonlight can penetrate. In this place, the very concept of time is distorted. It is as if the hours, the days, and the years have no meaning here. Time bends, twists, and loops upon itself, as though it too has become a prisoner of the forest's ancient power. And in the distance you hear it, the softest of whispers, a voice that seems to come from nowhere, yet everywhere at once. It beckons you forward, calling you to the deepest, most forgotten parts of the forest. The path, already obscured by a maze of overgrown roots and brambles, becomes more elusive with each step. The shadows around you grow longer, darker, more oppressive. The air grows thicker, charged with an electric energy that hums like a living thing, vibrating in your chest, pulling at the very essence of your being. It is said that the further you walk, the more the forest takes hold of you. At first, it is subtle, small things, like the feeling of being watched or the sudden chill that passes over you, unexplainable and impossible to shake. But as you press on, the forest begins to whisper your name, a voice not quite human, but not entirely inhuman either. The voice speaks of forgotten things, of secrets buried deep within the earth, of ancient powers that have slumbered for eons. It speaks to you, drawing you closer, its words like tendrils that wind around your mind, tightening with every passing moment. In the distance, just beyond the reach of your sight, you hear the unmistakable sound of footsteps, slow, deliberate, and unmistakably not your own. The shadows are no longer content to remain in the background. They come alive, swirling around you like a storm. They dance in and out of your vision, forming shapes that seem vaguely human but distorted, as if reality itself is bending under their weight. You can hear the soft, steady beat of your heart in your ears, and the soft rustling of the leaves beneath your feet becomes a cacophony of sound. But the footsteps behind you grow louder, more urgent, and you realize whatever was watching you from the shadows is now moving closer. You turn, but there's nothing there, only the shifting trees and the deep, unsettling quiet that stretches on and on. Yet you know you're not alone. The shadows have taken form. They are here, they are watching, and they are waiting. This is when the true nature of the forest begins to reveal itself, the forest that has claimed so many before you. The walking shadows, the lost souls, the damned, are not mere phantoms. They're the guardians of the forest, creatures born from the forest curse, born from the dark energy that pulses beneath the earth. They walk not out of malice, but out of duty. Duty to the ancient, forgotten forest that rules this land. Their eyes are dark and hollow, but their gaze is one of sorrow and understanding. They are not evil, but they are not benevolent either. They are the keepers of a forgotten realm, the gatekeepers of the passage that separates the living from the dead. It is said that in the deepest heart of the forest, at the center where the shadows converge, there lies a hidden truth. There, in the darkest corner of the woods, is the gate, the point of no return. It is not a door, not a physical threshold, but a rift in the fabric of reality itself. It is here, in this place, that the walking shadows are born, those who have crossed over, those who have entered and never returned. They are bound to the forest, their souls entwined with its very roots. They walk, they watch, they wait, waiting for others to cross the line, to step into the realm where time and space no longer exist, where death is but a fleeting concept. The final steps of your journey bring you to this gate. You can feel the pull of the darkness ahead. And though every instinct screams at you to turn back, the forest whispers to you once again. The shadows are now close, so close that their cold breath brushes your skin. You can feel their presence behind you, pressing in, surrounding you from all sides. The air is thick with their energy, and you know that the time has come to make a choice. The gate is open now, waiting for you to step through. The darkness stretches before you, endless and deep. But you hesitate. For one brief moment, you feel something stir within you, something primal, something human, a flicker of doubt, a desire to turn back, to run, to escape this place and leave the shadows behind. It is the final test, the last bear between you and the dark forces that rule this land. And as you stand there, trembling in the face of the unknown, you realize something profound. The forest does not simply want you to enter. It wants to see if you are strong enough to resist its pull, to break free from the grip of its ancient magic. You take a deep breath and turn around. The shadows swirl around you, urging you to step closer, to follow them into the dark abyss. But in that moment, a surge of strength rises within you. You are no longer afraid. You take one final step back, then another, slowly retreating from the gate. The shadows seem to recoil, drawn back into the depths of the forest as though they never wanted you to leave. But they can't stop you now. The forest trembles with a low, mournful sound, and you realize that the gate is closing. The darkness recedes, and with it, the pull that has gripped you for so long. You turn and run, your heart racing, your legs aching, but you run. The trees, once looming and menacing, now seem to part before you. The air clears, and the oppressive weight of the forest lifts from your shoulders. You burst through the last of the underbrush and emerge into the open air, breathing deeply, as if for the first time, you have escaped. But as you stand there, looking back toward the forest, you know that the walking shadows will never truly leave you. They will linger just beyond your sight, always watching, for the forest does not forget. Sight, always watching, for the forest does not forget. And the shadows, though they have failed to claim you today, will wait patiently for the next wanderer, for the next soul willing to walk into the unknown. And so, the cycle continues. The haunted forest secrets may have been revealed, but the shadows still linger, waiting for the next soul brave enough to venture into its depths. Will you be the one to uncover more? Or will you turn away and leave its dark mysteries behind? If you enjoyed this journey into the unknown, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more spine-chilling tales and eerie adventures. Hit the notification bell to stay updated and be the first to hear about the next mysterious journey into the heart of the supernatural. Stay curious, stay cautious, and remember, the shadows are always watching.